Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. Let that sit in your chest for a second, my friends, because the truth is we've been fed a quiet lie. That to be seductive, to be unforgettable, to be the kind of woman who haunts a man's mind, you have to show more skin, send the risky text, play the games, or try to be someone you're not. But let me ask you something, and if that worked, wouldn't you already feel magnetic by now? You don't need to get naked to feel powerful. Sometimes the most unforgettable seduction happens before a single touch. It's in the tone of your voice, the stillness of your presence, the words you drop, and the silence you let follow. What hooks a man isn't just what you say, it's how you make him feel. And today we're diving into 7 naughty things you can say or do that make him feel you, not just hear you. Now don't get it twisted, my friends. These aren't cringy lines or pickup tricks. These are dangerous, but only in the hands of a woman who knows who she is. They're not dirty, they're deliberate. These are for the woman who doesn't chase love. She knows how to call it to her. Who doesn't scream to be noticed, she whispers, and the whole room shifts. So before we get into it, if you've ever felt like you were doing all the right things, but still waiting to be felt, not just seen, then do this for you, not for me. Press that like button. Hit subscribe, because we're not here for surface level advice. We're here for soul level impact. Now stay with me. Hey ladies, imagine this. You're walking into a room and you don't say a word. No flashy dress, no exaggerated laugh, just calm energy, steady eyes, and a smile that says, I know something you don't. He feels it before he even turns his head. That subtle hit in the air, that ripple of curiosity. That's you, not performing, just being. That's what I call presence with pressure, like standing too close to a candle and not realizing why you suddenly feel warm. That kind of energy doesn't come from a script. It comes from a woman who knows how to use her words like a jazz musician uses silence, intentionally, playfully, with rhythm. But somewhere along the way, someone told you that being naughty meant being loud, being obvious, being a little desperate with your attention, that to get a man's eyes, you had to try. But what if I told you, the most unforgettable women don't try. They tease, they suggest, they plant one sentence and let it echo in his bones for days. That's what we're unlocking today. Because when a woman drops heat with grace, when she knows how to say just enough to get him imagining the rest, she becomes the one he compares everyone else to. And I promise you, my friends, it's not about what you wear or how much you reveal. It's about how you carry the room, how you sit in your own power like a queen who doesn't need a crown to be recognized. So if you're ready to become the kind of woman who walks into a man's life and lives in his mind long after you've left, stay with me. Because this isn't about seducing his body, it's about whispering to his psyche. And when you learn to speak in symbols, in timing, in energy, not just in words, you don't just attract attention, you become addictive. Let's go. Number 1, whispered imagination. The most powerful words are the ones that let the imagination do the heavy lifting. And let that one hit, my friends, because when it comes to attraction, the loudest voice in the room rarely gets remembered. It's not the woman who overshares, overtalks, or overtries that leaves a mark. It's the one who knows how to drop a whisper with weight, a phrase so subtle, so playful, it doesn't even feel like flirting. But days later, he's still thinking about it in the quiet of his mind. You and me, we get into trouble together, huh? Sounds like nothing, right? Just a passing joke, but say it with stillness. Say it with calm confidence, not a nervous laugh. Say it in the middle of a conversation that had nothing to do with flirting, and then move on like it was nothing. That's how you create a crack in his logic. That's how you invite him into a fantasy without ever saying the word. Imagine you're sitting across from him at a low-lit bar. There's music playing, the kind that makes you lean in a little closer to hear each other. He's talking about something simple, maybe a story from college or a memory from his childhood. You smile, you nod, you lean forward just enough to make the moment intimate, and then you drop it. You and me? Yeah, we'd probably be a problem. Then you smile. Not a big cheesy grin, just that little smirk, that flicker of mischief, and then you change the subject. Let it go. No reaction fishing, no follow-up, just drop it and move. That's not a line. That's a portal, a tiny doorway into a shared reality that didn't exist until you said it. And I know what might be rising in you right now, but won't I sound silly? What if he doesn't say anything back? What if I misread the moment? Let me tell you something. Your power doesn't live in whether or not he reacts right away. Your power lives in the imprint, the visual you left behind, the tiny emotional charge you planted like a seed. Carl Jung taught us that the unconscious responds not to logic, but to symbols, stories, and emotions. When you say you and me, you're not making a request. You're offering a mental movie, a suggestion, a little spark of what if. And most women, they never give that spark a chance. They talk about facts. They stay in safe topics. They worry so much about saying the wrong thing that they end up saying nothing that ever lands. But you're not most women. You're here because you want to speak in a way that lingers. You want to create chemistry that lives beneath the surface. And to do that, you have to stop chasing certainty and start dancing in mystery. This isn't about being provocative for the sake of it. It's about having playful confidence, knowing that your words don't have to be sexual to be sensual. They don't have to be dirty to be dangerous. They just have to invite curiosity. And then you leave it alone, like a feather dropped on a still lake. The ripples will take care of themselves. So the next time you're vibing with a man, don't ask for his attention. Don't wait for the perfect moment. Create it. Drop that soft little line, let it float, and trust that the part of him you want to reach, the unconscious, emotional, story-loving part, is already listening. Say it softly, say it like it's not a big deal, say it like it's nothing, and let him feel that it's everything. And what's coming next, my friends? Well, let's just say the next move doesn't require your mouth at all. Stay with me. You're about to learn how your eyes speak louder than any words ever could. Number 2, naughty glance with no explanation. The eyes are not just windows to the soul, they're doorways, if you know how to leave them unlocked. Let's get something straight, my friends. You don't have to say a word to make a man feel something. In fact, the right kind of glance, done with intention, with timing, with just the faintest trace of mystery, can pull him in deeper than a 10-minute conversation ever could. I'm talking about the naughty glance with no explanation. It's not a stare, it's not a game, it's not performance, it's presence. It's the moment you let your eyes do the talking, let your energy do the guiding, and then, without hesitation, you turn away. You don't wait for his response. You don't double back to check if he's looking. You let the moment hang in the air like smoke from a match you just struck. Picture this. You're walking past him. Maybe it's at a party, a hallway, even just passing by in the kitchen. Your eye catches his for half a second longer than it should. A tiny pause, a slow blink, the beginning of a smile that never fully arrives. And then you walk away. No explanation, no follow-up, just gone. That moment, it lives in him. Why? Because it's not something he can label. It's not loud enough to dismiss, not clear enough to resolve. It lingers. And anything that lingers in the subconscious starts to matter more than it should. Carl Jung once said, "The shadow is where the unknown parts of us live, the parts we don't fully understand but are deeply drawn to." And when you give him a look that suggests more than it says, you wake up that shadow. You trigger the pull toward mystery, and it's that mystery that hooks him. But I can hear your thoughts already. What if he doesn't notice? What if I look awkward? What if he thinks I'm trying too hard? Let me say this clearly. It's not about what he thinks in that moment. It's about the emotional dissonance you create. It's about the tension between what he felt and what he can't explain. That's what makes it unforgettable. This isn't about being sexy. This is about being aware of your own power, aware of the space you take up without having to fill it with noise. You're not throwing energy at him. You're inviting him to lean in, to wonder, to follow. Because when you turn your body first, when you lead the exit, you're not just ending a glance. You're commanding direction. You're showing him that you're in control of your own gravity. And trust me, men feel that shift. Not consciously, not logically, but in their body. That's the language you want to speak. And so don't underestimate the glance. Don't rush it. Don't explain it. Let it float in the air behind you like perfume. Because when a man remembers your eyes long after he stopped seeing them, you didn't seduce him. You rewired something in him. And next up, we're not going to speak at all. We're going to leave him guessing with a single sentence that never finishes. Stay with me. Number 3. The delayed compliment. Seduction isn't about giving everything away. It's about giving just enough to make him crave the rest. My friends, let's talk about something most women never learn to master. restraint. We're taught to nurture, to express, to give fully, right away. And while that energy has its place in love, in the early stages of connection, the power lies in the pause, in the delay, in the moment where you almost give him a piece of gold but close your hand just before he takes it. Enter the delayed compliment. I like that about you, but I'll tell you why later. Say that after he does something quietly masculine, something rooted in confidence, leadership, or strength. Maybe he handled a situation with grace, made a quick decision, protected you in some small, subtle way. You watch him do it. You don't make a big deal. You just wait. Let the moment breathe. Then softly, with a half smile and a little head tilt, you say, I like that about you, but I'll tell you why later. And then you move on. Not because you're playing games, but because you're playing chess. You just opened a file in his brain, a tab that won't close, a sentence with no ending, and the unconscious hates unresolved threads. Carl Jung taught us that the psyche is always seeking integration. It wants to connect dots, finish stories, complete loops. So what happens when you give him just enough spark, then walk away from the flame and he leans in, emotionally, mentally? You've created internal tension, and where there's tension, there's attention. Now I know what might be bubbling up in your mind, but won't he forget? What if he never asks why? What if I come off cold? Let me be clear. The right man won't forget because you said it with weight, not as a throwaway line, not as a flirt tactic, but as a statement backed by your energy. And energy doesn't lie. It stays in the room after your words have left. And if he doesn't ask why, good. That means he's trying to figure it out without needing you to explain. That means you just created curiosity, one of the deepest forms of attraction. You didn't serve the dessert, you just let him smell it. This kind of restraint isn't withholding. It's feminine command. Most women pour it all out too fast. Every compliment, every story, every piece of emotion spilled on the table in the first few dates. And then they wonder why the magic fades. And you're not here to empty the candy jar in one sitting. You're here to offer one bite, then take the jar and walk away. Let him think about it. Let him taste it in his memory. Because the truth is, my friends, a compliment means more when it's earned, when it's wrapped in mystery, when it leaves a man wondering, what did she see in me? And coming up next, we're going to say even less, but with way more impact. You're about to learn how the tone of your voice can make a man feel like you just wrapped him in silk. Stay with me. Number 4, the voice drop. The most seductive sound in the world isn't loud, it's low, slow, and certain. My friends, if you only knew the power your voice holds, not just what you say, but how you say it. Because sometimes the most magnetic thing a woman can do isn't to shout her interest, it's to lower her voice and let her presence do the rest. This is what I call the voice drop, not flirtation, not performance, vibration. See, a man doesn't just hear with his ears, he feels with his body. His nervous system responds to tone more than text. You could say something as simple as, "Stop it." But if you say it slowly, softly, with a hint of mischief, it doesn't land as a command, it lands as a charge. Let me give you the image. You're sitting beside him, the world is moving fast around you. Maybe you're on a date, maybe you're on the couch, maybe you're mid-conversation with others. He leans in, says something playful, maybe a little bold, and instead of matching that energy, instead of laughing too loud or reacting too fast, you lean in closer. Not with words, with tone. You lower your voice, not because you're shy, but because you're sure. I like that. Don't tempt me. You're trouble, aren't you? And then you pause. Let it breathe. Let it land. Don't rush to fill the silence, because it's in that pause, that moment of still energy, that he feels you. Carl Jung taught us that the psyche doesn't respond to content. It responds to symbol, sound, and energy. When your voice drops, you're no longer just talking. You're creating an emotional frequency, a memory, a mood, a story that we'll replay later when he's lying in bed, wondering why the hell your voice is still echoing in his head. But here's where most women go wrong. They either don't go there at all, or they go too far. They overdo it. They perform. They slip into this overly seductive persona that doesn't feel real. Let me remind you, my friends, real feminine power is never loud, and it's never forced. It's intentional. It's felt before it's understood. And I get it. Maybe you're thinking, but what if he doesn't notice? What if it feels awkward? What if I sound weird? Trust me, you're not doing this to impress him. You're doing this to awaken something ancient in him, a memory, a recognition, a moment that cuts through noise and hits him somewhere words usually don't reach. Because when you master tone, when you drop your voice at just the right moment, not out of insecurity, but out of inner calm, you become the woman who's not just heard, you become the woman who's remembered. So don't underestimate your voice. And it's not about what you say, it's about what you deliver. And when you deliver it in a low, steady tone, paired with stillness, paired with timing, it's no longer communication, it's chemistry. And next, my friends, we're about to get even quieter and way more dangerous. One sentence, no answer. Just a question that flips his whole perception. Stay with me. Number 5, the half confession. What you withhold with grace becomes more powerful than anything you reveal in full. My friends, lean in for this one, because now we're stepping into the realm of emotional electricity, not seduction for show, but the kind that lingers in the bloodstream. And today, we're talking about one of the most potent tools in your feminine arsenal, the half confession. You know, if I told you the things I was thinking right now, you'd never look at me the same. That's it. One sentence, no explanation, no punchline. You don't say what you're thinking. You don't offer a wink or a follow-up. You just plant it like a spark left smoldering under the surface, and then you move on. Calm, collected, disarmingly casual. And here's the truth. The reason it lands so deeply is because it doesn't finish. It doesn't resolve. And the masculine brain, it craves resolution, structure, understanding. So when you suggest something emotionally loaded without giving it shape, you create tension. You awaken the shadow, as Carl Jung would say. That space of the unknown, the unseen, the felt but undefined. That's where you meet him, not in his mind, but in his unconscious. Imagine this, you're sitting across from him. Maybe there's already a vibe in the air. Maybe it's light and flirty, or maybe it's stillness, intimacy, closeness. You make eye contact. Your smile curls just slightly, and then you lean in and say, if I told you what I was thinking right now, you'd never look at me the same. And then you pull back, maybe sip your drink, maybe look out the window, maybe change the subject. Whatever you do, don't stay in the heat. Let him stew in it. Let his mind do the work, because that's what makes it unforgettable. And now I know the fears that come up, but what if he pushes me to explain? What if he doesn't get it? What if I sound like I'm trying too hard? Here's the key. This isn't about trying. It's about trusting. Trusting your delivery, trusting the weight of a phrase left open, trusting that when a woman speaks from grounded mystery, not manipulation, not insecurity, she becomes the woman he can't categorize and can't forget. This isn't dirty talk. It's not performative. It's not about getting a reaction. It's a slow burn, a mental cliffhanger. And if you drop it with the right tone, the right pause, the right kind of eye contact, it doesn't just catch his attention, it etches into his memory. Carl Jung said, the most powerful symbols are never fully understood, they're felt. Your half confession isn't a statement, it's a symbol of danger, of mystery, of desire that doesn't beg, but invites. So don't give it all away, don't explain, don't reveal. The power of this line is in what's missing. Because when a man starts building stories in his mind around you, you've already won. And coming up next, we're going to flirt with danger again, except this time it sounds like a warning he'll want to hear again and again. Stay with me. Number 6, the innocent threat. Power isn't in demanding love. It's in making someone fear how much they might need you. Now listen closely, my friends, because what we're about to tap into is a little dangerous, but only in the best way. It's the kind of line that dances on the edge, not needy, not obvious, just enough heat to make him pause and wonder what would happen if you really meant it. Careful, I might get used to you. Software simple, but delivered with the right tone, it's like slipping a lit match into his pocket and walking away. This is what I call the innocent threat. And no, it's not really a threat at all. It's a playful warning wrapped in charm and confidence. It says, you're starting to matter to me, but without the fear, without the clutching, without the chase. It's flirtation with depth, intimacy with edge. Picture the moment. He's doing something sweet. Maybe he surprises you with your favorite snack. Maybe he puts his hand on the small of your back as you walk into a room. Maybe he says something that shows he was paying attention when most men wouldn't have been. You pause, smile just a little, lock eyes, and then you drop it. Careful, I might get used to you. And then you look away. Sip your drink. Let it hang in the air. You didn't say you need him. You didn't say you're falling. You didn't even say you want more. You simply suggested in a playful, grounded way that he's having an effect on you. And that effect might be a problem. And that's what creates tension. That's what builds emotional gravity. Because now he has to ask himself, is she serious? Did I just get under her skin? What would it mean if she really did get used to me? You've made him part of a storyline, and men love stories where they feel like the plot twist. Carl Jung taught us that the unconscious mind responds most deeply to contradiction. Light with shadow, sweet with danger. The innocent threat walks that tightrope. It's gentle, but it crackles with emotional potential. And that, my friends, is what hooks. Now, I know you might be thinking, but what if I come off too soft? What if he doesn't say anything back? What if I give the wrong impression? The truth is, it's not about the line. It's about the energy behind it. You don't say this with a pout or a plea. You say it with a smirk, with your shoulders back, with the knowing that you're not asking for more. You're letting him know he's entering sacred ground. It's power, not need. It's tease, not test. It's feminine command in its purest form, because the woman who can admit she's affected without collapsing into it is the one who becomes unforgettable, not because she's trying to be, but because she's already decided she is. And next, my friends, we're going to use silence itself to seduce, not your eyes, not your voice, just when you choose to pull back at the most powerful moment. Stay with me. It's about to get surgical. Number 7, the pull away at peak connection. It's not the kiss that lingers, it's the pause before it, the breath that almost happens. All right, my friends, we've come to one of the most underestimated, most powerful plays in the art of feminine magnetism. And no, it doesn't involve a word, a touch, or even a look. It's something far more dangerous than all three combined. And it's the pull away at peak connection. You're in the moment. Things are flowing. Maybe you're laughing. Maybe you're locking eyes. Maybe his hand just brushed yours and your energy synced up like electricity and water. It's right there, that golden, breathless moment where he's leaning in, not just physically, but emotionally. And that's when you break eye contact. And that's when you pull your energy back. You shift your body. You glance away. You say, anyway, did you try that new place you mentioned? Boom. The spell isn't broken, it's deepened. Because, my friends, this isn't rejection, this is rhythm, this is breath, this is control. And what you've just done is create emotional contrast. You let him feel warmth, connection, closeness, and then you gave him just a whisper of absence. And in that absence, his body registers the loss, even if it's just for a second, even if he doesn't realize why he feels the pull. Carl Jung told us the unconscious is shaped by pattern and rhythm. When something flows smoothly, uninterrupted, the conscious mind feels safe. But the unconscious, it wakes up when there's a break in that pattern, a pause, a shift, and that shift becomes an imprint. This is why the most unforgettable women aren't the ones who give you their full presence at every moment. They're the ones who know when to give and when to pull back. Now I can already hear it, but won't he think I'm losing interest? What if I ruin the moment? What if he pulls away too? No, my love, he won't, because you're not walking away. You're not going cold. You're just letting the moment breathe. You're letting him chase the thread. You're teaching his nervous system that your energy is precious. It's not always available, not always predictable, and that makes it addictive. Think of music. The best songs aren't the ones that stay loud. They rise, they drop, they pause right before the chorus hits, and it's in that pause that your whole body leans forward. That's what you're doing here. You're not cutting connection, you're creating anticipation. And this isn't manipulation, it's mastery. It's the awareness that stillness creates gravity. That presence means more when it's not constantly flooding the room. You're letting him feel the difference between when you're open and when you're just out of reach. Because that contrast, that's what echoes. So the next time you're in that perfect moment, don't overstay, don't fill it with extra words or nervous energy. Drop back, let silence walk in, and trust that if he's really tuned into you, he'll follow. Because when a man starts to crave your presence in your absence, that's not just attraction, that's emotional imprint. So let's bring this home. What you just learned, my friends, isn't about playing games. It's about owning your energy like the high-value woman you are. Each move, each pause, each whisper isn't about him. It's about you stepping into your most magnetic, grounded, irresistible self. When you master emotional rhythm, you don't chase love, you attract it without trying. If this opened your eyes or sparked something in you, make sure to like, subscribe, and share this with a woman who needs to hear it. And remember, your power is in how you carry your silence just as much as your words.